Yeah, CJ will start the game, and it's his team. And like I said, we'll take it one day at a time with Grayson. And when he's ready to play, he'll be back. And, it's all hands on deck.
Thank you.
Andrea?
Dave, as a follow-up to that, what sorts of things can you do to help prepare CJ for the type of environment that he's going to be facing, and obviously the type of defense and defensive front that Clemson has?
Yeah, they got a great defensive line. And they do a lot of blitzing, they're bringing stuff from all over the place. So we got to give them all the looks. We got to show them all the things that, not just him, the O-line and the protections with the backs. Obviously, crowd noise is going to be a part of what we're doing every day, and making sure our cadence functions in the noise that we're going to be dealing with. And then just schematically doing the things that he's best at, giving him the best pictures that he can have, and then letting him play ball. That's the one thing about him. He's a football player, and that kid understands the game. He's a winner, and he's excited. That's a kid that's excited to play the game, and I'm excited for him. And so, as a team, you just go out there and you do everything you can staff-wise to set them up for success, and you know what the challenges are, and you try to give them every look possible so that he can be successful and play fast on Saturday.
Noah?
Coach, you've talked about in the past you learn, from game situation and having game film. What were you able to learn, I guess, from CJ's, half of football he was able to play, and how impressive, I guess, was it against the blitz? He's 8 of 10 for 100 yards.
It's what he's done in practice, and so it's great to know that the stuff that he's doing in practice carries into games, because obviously you're not getting hit in practice as a quarterback. He's a tough kid. He's competitive. Obviously, his height gives him an advantage to see some things too. But he's been like that since he got here, and it's just reps and reps and reps and reps and how much you want to put on him. But he's a fast learner. He loves the game, and he took what he's done in practices and scrimmages to a live environment. And I mentioned this after the game. I do think it was great that he got to play in the Tennessee game, that he got to go up against that kind of talent and speed and see it firsthand. That's the best preparation you can give a guy, is the reps in a game.
James?
Dave, Kaden Fordom graded out really well on PFF. I'm not sure how you guys graded him out, but just statistically, big-time game from him. How encouraging was that at that position for you guys?
Yeah, I think you saw how much we missed him in game one, right, when he was out. And he had his best game. He played physical. He tackled well. He was all over the field pursuit-wise. He got his hands on some balls, pass breakups. And the Mike position in that defense is going to be around the ball a lot, and he's a disruptive guy, and he's a really smart football player. But I thought Davin Van and Kaden played really, really good when you look at how they strained in the box. And when you're disruptive in the box, it helps things immensely, for our fitters that are coming from the back end. But I was proud of him, and we need that from him. He's got to play that way, and he's one of the more experienced linebackers we have.
And I wanted to follow up. I wanted to ask you about Devon Marshall. He was kind of thrust into a big role, made some big one-on-one plays for you out at corner. Just your thoughts on him.
Yeah, he was the player of the game for us this week. I thought he was right where he was supposed to be, played poised, played hard. A lot of times a guy will get in the game, and at the moment of truth, he'll grab a guy, and he's nervous about giving up a play, and he played with technique. He did a really nice job. He was the one on that 4th and 1 play action. They motioned a guy in. He ended up on a tight end that was in a tackle position, covering him on a play action pass, a play that a lot of players would have their eyes in bad spots. He did a really good job showing discipline. And Jackson Vick came in and played in our dime package and did some really good things. They both had big plays in the game on 3rd and 4th downs.
Thanks, Dave.
You bet.
Jaden?
Does Grayson's injury history make you a little more cautious? Or are you kind of approaching his recovery like you would on, any typical situation?
Yeah, every injury is different, and I'm not the one that goes down there and says, this is what we're doing. We have complete faith and trust in Justin Smith and our docs. We got incredible doctors here, and whatever they say is what we're going to do. And, my focus is on just being supportive for all these kids, you know, when they're out. Aiden White was out last week, and Devin Boykin's out. Now Grayson, you know, you got to be there for these guys, and they're each different. And even though you've had a player with a similar injury in the past, it's a different player. And so you just be there for them. You're supportive. You get them the care they need. And when they're ready to play, they're ready to play, you know, and I think that's the thing, is trying to get these guys back. I've been injured as a player. It's terrible. Like it sucks. You feel removed from everything. And, you know, as a head coach, I'm very, very understanding of that, you know, and you try to be there for them. But each injury is different, to your point, and you just have to let the doctors tell you what the timeline looks like. And in his case, we've gotten good news. You know, it's just how long does it take?
Ethan,
Coach, I think PFF had you guys down as only allowing 4 pressures. So the pass protection really looked like it did well against Louisiana Tech. And it seemed like the running backs picked up well and all of that. How would you assess the team's pass blocking as a team and not necessarily only the offensive line?
Yeah, there was a couple plays in that game where they got free on us and got some hits that, you know, ended up, whether it's a sack or a hit, you don't want your quarterback on the ground, right? And so you look at all of that. I do think we've had good pockets throughout the season. We've gotten beat like everybody has, but overall our pass protection has been good. We've had time to get rid of the football. Our quarterbacks have done a good job throwing it away for the most part when they couldn't extend plays with their feet. But that really hasn't been the issue as much as efficient run game, and that got better in this game. You know, we were rushing the ball below our standard going into that football game, and I thought it got better and better as that game went on. And again, you rush for over 4 yards a carry. That's what you're looking for.
Andrea,
Dave, I wanted to ask you another question in terms of the run game that you mentioned, obviously the offensive line, having an opportunity now after the Tennessee game with what you saw last week. How big / important is it that you did see the type of push that you saw from the line going into this game and maybe allow the line a bit of, I don't know if redemption's the right word, but just improvement over what happened against Tennessee?
Yeah, we got better. You know, I think there's a multitude of things, and it's not just the O-line. You know, let's make that clear. You know, when you run the football, sometimes there's a tight end in there. There's a second back in there. Sometimes there's a receiver you're asking to block a perimeter player. And if it was as easy as one player on the O-line to fix, it'd be fixed. You know, it's a collective thing and running the football, and we did get better. Our tracks were better. I thought we missed one read at running back where we could have had a pretty big run if we would have stayed on our track. But the timing of running the football and all the things that are happening with blitzes and stunts and picking those up with the speed they come at you, you know, wasn't good in the first 2 games. It got better in the 3rd game. And to your point, we just have to keep getting better and stay efficient, stay on the positive side of, you know, efficiency when it comes to calling plays, because it helps as a play caller when it's 2nd 6+ or minus versus the other way around where it's 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10. And that was a big point of emphasis with Coach and I, you know, is we need to be efficient, you know, and if he can get efficient down in distances, we'll score more points. And that's what you saw happen in the second half. And the guys know that, and we just got to keep pushing on them, and they got to keep doing their part just to block, you know, it's strain and get your hat in the right place. But I was, I think of the right way to say this. I'm not satisfied by any means with the run game. I'm happy it got better. You know, I saw the improvement, and if you watch every position, it got better. I mean, every position, the guys were straining, they were fighting to stay on their blocks and push guys down the field. And that's what it takes. And if you do that over time and you get into the 4th quarter, then it really takes over a game when you need it to, by wearing people down. And so progress, and that's good.
Rob,
Yeah, Dave, in the expanded ACC, Clemson, without the divisions, Clemson remained an assigned rival. So you'll be dealing with them every year. And of course, you mentioned the Textile Bowl, the trophy game aspect of it. Obviously, that's a tough road to hoe, but at the same time, do you kind of convey to your kids, hey, this team for the last decade's really been the creme de la creme of the ACC, and this is a barometer game for us to see where we stand? How do you approach that when you deal with a team that's done so well?
I don't think the last 10 years matter, Rob. I don't. College football these days, I mean, every team's got so many new parts. And what matters is the guys on your team that have played against these teams. And, you have a lot of players that have played well against Clemson. Obviously, we need to get the job done down there. And that's something we haven't done. And we've been close. Close doesn't get it done. And so it's more about how do we win this football game and focus on those things. How can we play better for 4 quarters instead of 2 quarters here, 2 quarters there? I think how you win a game against a good football team is you don't turn the football over. You play physical. You don't give up explosive plays for scores. You're really efficient in your special teams departments with your field position. And that's the focus of winning. It's not 10 years ago what's happened. I mean, these guys were 8 years old. That's not going to help us win the football game.
Well, I guess, and then does that extend to the last 3 years then? Because you guys have had success against them the last 3 years. I think you beat them 2 or 3. Is that,
Right.
or is it still, no, this is one game, we focus on this?
Yeah, I think, beating them in the past helps. I think there was a time where, I don't know how many in a row it was that we lost to them, where it seemed like a mountain we couldn't climb, and that's not the case anymore. We know that we can beat them. We also know that they're a really good team, and playing them at home, they're even better team. And so you got to play a certain way. And I think that's where playing Tennessee earlier helps us, because we have seen a really good team on the field already. And so their level of speed and size and the combination of both isn't going to be shocking, going out there. But we know, what Clemson's program has been and how good their talent is and what kind of game we have to play, playing against a team like them. And I have a lot of respect for their football team and what Dabo's done there.
Thank you, sir.
Brian Murphy.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. You've had a history now of having to play multiple quarterbacks, multiple starting quarterbacks over years. How does that help this team? How does it help you guys as a staff get ready? And then who is behind Bailey, and how do you get that person ready in case they have to play?
Yeah, I mean, that's an unfortunate thing to be used to. I had a run there for a while with Jacoby Brissett and Ryan Finley where we didn't have that problem, and now we have. And so, I don't know if that helps or not helps. I do think there's a history with the next man in playing really good ball for us, and that's what we expect. And I think all of our kids completely believe in CJ and know that he'll go in and play his butt off. Lex Thomas is our next quarterback, and so Lex has been getting reps all year, all through spring, all through fall camp. He's ready to go, and so that's what we'll look like until Grayson's healthy.
Noah.
Kind of going off of that, what is the biggest thing you've learned, with having to use multiple quarterbacks in a year? I think it was a stretch of 4 of the last 5 years you've done that. So what's been, I guess, the biggest learning tool after having that consistent quarterback play early in your career here?
Well, you got to have depth for one, because you're always one play away, from the next guy being in. Competition and depth, you got to recruit well at that spot, and you got to coach them all like they could play. You can't, hey, here's our starter, and you may not get in unless we're winning. You got to coach them all like you're going to play in this game. And we've been able to do that. We've had success over the years, not just with our backup, even our third, and one year our fourth came in and played a really good game. So, Kurt Roper's a really good quarterback coach. He'll have the guys ready to play. They'll be excited for their opportunity, and we'll put a package together that they can execute at a high level.
Last two, James.
Yeah, Dave, I thought Louisiana Tech did a good job bottling up KC, tackling him well, kind of, keeping him down to a degree. But you saw your other guys step up at that position at wide receiver. How big was that for you guys?
Yeah, it was great to see the outside receivers. When I said this to Casey yesterday, you've earned a lot of respect because of how good a player you've been, and there's more people. And when you're playing a drop 8 team like La Tech was, it's easier, to remove and have a linebacker under them, a safety over them, reroute player with the guy over the top of them, or to bracket them. And so we've got to be really creative, which is Robert's favorite thing to do, is be creative. We got to find ways to move him around and make it hard for teams to key on him. And at the same time, there's going to be players that are benefactors of that. If people do that, there's a lot of one-on-ones in other position groups, whether it's the tight end with Joe Lee, the outside receivers, the running backs. and we got to win our one-on-ones when we get them, those guys, and we'll find ways to continue to get KC the ball, and it can't just be on screens. And, you know, we got to get them the football down the field, and that's our job.
And Andrea, you can finish this up.
Dave, I'm going to squeeze one more in here. Do you like the fact that you're playing Clemson this early on? Does this do you feel like the team an opportunity? And no offense to Louisiana Tech, but just to prove that you're a better team than what you showed against Tennessee?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to play them somewhere in that list. It is, and Annabelle probably knows better than me. I have opened the ACC with them several times, and so it's not the first time doing this. So I don't know. It's wherever the scheduling rubric decides to throw them on there, we got to play them. And I don't know if it matters, to be honest with you, having them early, having them late. Playing a noon game down there, it's going to be hot, so that adds a little bit of an element to it versus playing them later in the year down there where it may not be a weather type thing that can test you a little bit. And so that part of it's probably the only negative to it I see, it's just the weather that you get at noon in South Carolina versus playing them maybe in October or November. But it's early in the season. It's the first opportunity to play an ACC game. I think we open with them in a few years to start the season, if I'm not mistaken, like in 28. And so wherever they put them, we got to line up and play them.